All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Homewood-Flossmoor Vikings baseball broadcast. I'm Dylan Barnes. I'm going to be calling this game and all others throughout the season, both home and away. So if you can't make a game, tune in right here. Today, the Vikings of Homewood-Flossmoor will be taking on the Eagles of Sandburg. These teams faced off on Tuesday of this week, with Sandberg coming out victorious 7-5 thanks to a late inning comeback. The Vikings will play at home today, as opposed to away at Sandburg on Tuesday. So Vikings trying to split the season series with Sandburg. On the mound for the Vikings today is the lefty, Vince Waterman. A week ago at Stag, his last appearance, he went 2 2/3 innings, allowed 7 runs on 5 hits, struck out 3 and walked 4. He's going to start off this game facing Jason Sullivan, the right fielder. And Sullivan will foul the first pitch into the opponent's bullpen. Sullivan started the game on Tuesday with a double off the left field wall at Sandberg. Hopefully he starts it with a strikeout right here. 0-1 to Sullivan. Tipped back very quickly, 0-2. The defense for the Vikings is Josh Moore behind the plate, Isaiah White, Rob Tate, Corey Mulling, and Elijah Rainey from left to right around the infield. Bennett Reich in left, Dylan Head in center, and Jason Ballard in right. Jason Sullivan watches a pitch just barely inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Josh Moore wanted that one. Just barely off the plate, says a home plate umpire. 1-2 to Sullivan. Tipped, just barely made contact with that one, keeping himself alive. Count is still 1 ball and 2 strikes. Waterman comes set. 1-2 pitch. Up and out. Evens the count at 2-2. Getting the leadoff man out was something the Vikings struggled with on Tuesday. The first 4 innings, the Eagles had their leadoff man on. That one's just barely off the plate, bringing the count to a full 3 balls and 2 strikes on the first batter of the game, the right fielder, Jason Sullivan. Full count from Waterman. That's upstairs. Sullivan works back from an 0-2 count to a full count walk. And that is how this game is going to get underway. Ethan Highfield, the first baseman, will bat now. He went 2 for 3 with a walk and 2 runs scored on Tuesday. Pickoff attempt. Sullivan dives in safely at first. Not exactly a base stealing lead over there, but Waterman had a check on him. You never know. First pitch to Highfield. That one's popped up on the infield. Isaiah White calling for it, and he'll take it. So that's going to be the first out here in the top of the first inning. Wind is a big factor in this one. The wind is blowing directly out to left field at around 20 miles an hour. It's howling here at HF. But now the man who cleared the bases and ultimately gave Sandberg the win, the left fielder Colin Cassane. He went 1 for 3 with 4 RBIs and a bases clearing triple in the bottom of the 5th inning on Tuesday. He'll chase the first pitch from Waterman. Good changeup that just fell off the table and into the other batter's box. Has him ahead in the count, 0-1. Pitch to Cassane. That one's hit in the air. Ballard calling for it in right. Head will call him off and make the play in shallow right center field. So 2 pop-ups are the 2 outs here in the top of the first inning. Catcher Victor Zaragoza will bat with a runner on first base and 2 outs. Zaragoza went 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run on Tuesday. He'll take ball 1 in the dirt. Good work by Josh Moore, keeping that one in front of him. One 0 to Zaragoza. Is a pickoff attempt, not an actual pitch. Getting the leadoff man on was something the Eagles did well on Tuesday, but then they couldn't capitalize on that. They stranded 3 out of their first 4 leadoff men. That one's upstairs, 2-0. The only leadoff base runner that scored in the first 4 innings was the man who doubled off the wall, Jason Sullivan. He's on first right now. He doubled on Tuesday. He walked in this one. Zaragoza hits one on the ground to short. Rob Tate can't come up with it. Some weird spin on that one. And that is going to be an E6 in the books. That one had some funky spin to it. It looked like it hit off the end of the bat and then just sort of was spinning sideways as Rob Tate was going to come up with that. The Vikings have had some defensive woes in the field. They lost that game on Tuesday on a ground ball that would have been a double play, but Corey Mulling couldn't come up with it at second base. But he was probably the Vikings player of the game. He went 4 for 4 with a home run, a double, and 3 RBIs. That one's ball 1 low. So while one player can't cost you the game, he can certainly help you win it. Palumbo hits one just over the head of Rob Tate. Sullivan's going to be waved home. Zaragoza will be waved to third. And that is how the Eagles score their first run of the day. An unearned run on Vince Waterman's record. But it's a run nonetheless. The DH, Nick Morsavillo, will bat now. He did not play on Tuesday. So once again, defensive miscues costing the Vikings some runs here in this game. Morsavillo has runners on the corners and 2 outs. He takes strike 1 from Waterman on the outer third. A 1 from Waterman. Swing and a miss awkwardly from Morsavillo. Very quickly 0-2. We saw the first batter of this game, Jason Sullivan, work back from an 0-2 count into a walk. So Waterman trying to avoid that here. 0-2 pitch. That one's hit in the air to right field. Jason Ballard settles under it. And that is going to be the 3rd out of this top of the first inning. But a run does come across thanks to a walk and an error. So after a half inning, the Eagles hold a 1-0 lead over the Vikings. On the mound for Sandberg in this one is the man who closed out the game on Tuesday, Nick Bestrick. You don't exactly see that too often, where they throw the same pitcher against the same team in 2 days, but they will in this one. Bestrick will face the leadoff man, Dylan Head. Head went 2 for 3 with an RBI, an intentional walk, a run scored, and 2 stolen bases on Tuesday. He'll take ball 1 upstairs from Bestrick. Bestrick allowed one run on Corey Mulling's solo shot in the top of the 7th. That one's inside, ball 2. Bestrick works quickly. We saw that on Tuesday. We're seeing it again here today. Head smacks the 2-0 pitch into left field, and that ball is going to be out of here. Dylan Head goes opposite field. Wind assisted or not, that ball counts as a home run, and it ties the game at 1-1 here in the bottom of the first inning. He has 4 home runs on the year, and now the ball game is tied. You rarely see Dylan Head go opposite field, or just anybody go opposite field here, but the wind assisted that one, just guided it over the fence, and it tied the ball game at 1. First pitch to Bennett Reich is on the inside corner for strike 1. That was almost directly down the line. Left fielder Colin Cassane had no choice but to just watch it fly out of here. Reich takes a breaking ball on the outside corner for strike 2. Reich went 1 for 3 with a run scored on Tuesday. Oh, 2 to Reich. Check swing. Did not go, says the home plate umpire. And did not go, says the base umpire. Can't really appeal to a base umpire that's at the batter's back. So Reich fights that one off, keeping the count at a ball and 2 strikes. In Reich's limited playing time, he's sort of earned the left field spot. He's batted .500 through 20 at-bats. That one's tapped on the ground. Bestrick's going to come up with it and flip to Ethan Highfield at first base. And that's going to be the first out here in the bottom of the first inning. Jason Ballard, the right fielder, will bat.
Jason Ballard!
Ballard has arguably been one of the Vikings' best hitter, if not the best hitter. He's batting .452 on the year with an on-base percentage of nearly .600. He'll square bunt, pull back on that breaking ball. Takes it for strike 1. Ballard leads the team with 15 walks. Nobody has over 10. Nobody else has over 10. He takes ball 1 spiked in the dirt from Bestrick. Ballard is also the Vikings' home run leader with 5. Dylan Head knocking on his door with 4. Takes that ball upstairs, 2-1. Two-one from Bestrick. That's on the outside corner, a little too far off it. 3 balls and 1 strike. So now Ballard looking to extend his team leading 15 walks. He chases ball 4 and he knew it, but it brings the count to a full 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2 to Ballard. That one's upstairs and inside, and that is a 1-out walk for the Vikings' best walker, Jason Ballard. So now Preston Lund will bat with a runner on first base and 1 out here in the bottom of the first. Lund went 1 for 4 on Tuesday, batting .317 on the year, and is one of only 3 Vikings players to have one of every extra base hit, as Ballard slides in safely at first. So he has 2 doubles, 2 triples, and 3 home runs. Only Corey Mulling and Josh Moore have similar stat lines. as there's a fastball in there for strike one for Bestrick. Corey Malling has 8 doubles, 1 triple, and 1 home run. Josh Moore has 3 doubles, a triple, and a home run. So Preston has done a better job of spreading out his extra base hits. He's late on that fastball from Bestrick, 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes, pickoff attempt. Ballard again is safe. Lund trying to avoid being the second out here in this bottom of the first inning. He will on that pitch. That one's just off the plate, 1-2. The zone has been pretty consistent early on in this one. Seems to be pretty good too. What do you know? It's another pickoff attempt. And once again, Jason Ballard is safe. The 1-2 to Lund. Fastball upstairs, 2-2. Lund trying to win this battle against Nick Bestrick. 2-2 pitch. Another fastball. It's upstairs yet again, bringing the count to a full 3 balls and 2 strikes. It started 0-2, now it's 3-2. Full count pitch to Lund. Ballard takes off. Lund fouls that one back. So we'll do the full count pitch again. Ballard was off with the pitch, potentially trying to get a little hit and run action going. If Lund can send one through the right side, Cole Vazano was going to cover second. Full count pitch, Ballard takes off again. He doesn't need to run hard, as Preston Lund will be pushing him up 90 feet anyways, as back-to-back walks have the Vikings threatening to take the lead here in the bottom of the first. And this is the last man the Sandburg Eagles want to see in this situation. Malling tormented them on Tuesday, going 4 for 4 and only a triple shy of the cycle. The Vikings need him to come through clutch right here. Bestrick spins, nobody's home. Malling batting .432 on the year. He's going to try and raise it right here. He takes ball 1 low and outside. Zaragoza calls time, goes out to talk to Bestrick, and I wouldn't blame him. Corey Malling took him about 360 feet out to left field the last time these two faced off. If he does that same thing right here, I think that he could clear the scoreboard, especially with the wind and the smaller field dimensions here at HF. He hit the scoreboard at Sandberg on Tuesday. One 0 to Malling. That one's hit into right field on a line caught by Sullivan. That one was just hit so hard that it stayed up there. That one, the throw got away from shortstop A.J. Masak, but not far away enough for Ballard to try and advance to third.
Third baseman, number 13.
Malling hit the ball hard, but unfortunately just right at Jason Sullivan out there in right field. So now Isaiah White will be the batter with 2 outs and 2 runners on. White went 2 for 4 with a double on Tuesday. Long hold from Bestrick. Looking back at Ballard, spins. That throw's going to get into center field, and both runners are going to move up 90 feet. Jason Ballard tormenting, and he's going to try and score. Center fielder Charlie Snork held the ball for too long, and Preston Lund is going to be safe at third. Oh my goodness, he swim moved that one, and he knows it. He's doing a little swim action out over there at third base. But some aggressive base running for the Vikings has them ahead 2-1 here in the bottom of the first inning. Preston Lund begging on his speed, not something we usually see from the DH. But the center fielder, Charlie Snorek, could not get the ball in time, and Jason Ballard was just waved home by Coach McCarthy. And now Isaiah White will have a chance to extend the Vikings' lead. That one tipped foul. It's 0-1 now. That was the first pitch, even though I said that he was stepping to bat about 45 seconds ago. But some chaos on the base paths. White chases, strike 2, bounced off home plate. He's got 0-2 count on him now. White trying to drive in Lund from third. 0-2 pitch. Another breaking ball, tapped foul. White has seen 3 breaking balls in 3 pitches. I would be surprised if he sees a 4th right here. 0-2 pitch. He does not, and it's hit on the ground to Highfill. Highfill flips to Bestrick, who was covering first, and that is going to be the 3rd out of the bottom of the 1st inning. But a leadoff home run from Dylan Head tied it, and then some aggressive base running by Jason Ballard gave the Vikings a 2-1 lead after the 1st inning. Vince Waterman back out on the mound for his 2nd inning of work. He'll face the bottom 3 batters in the Eagles lineup. A.J. Masak is the first batter. He's squared to bunt, bunts it foul down the first base line. Masak went 0 for 2 on Tuesday. I'm sure that Waterman wants to continue that 0 for streak. He's ahead on him, 0-1. That one's just barely upstairs. Didn't get it to come back down. 1 ball and 1 strike. That one's in there. Top of the zone for strike 2. Waterman doesn't have the insane arm side run and sink to his fastball like Evan Nieder does, but he does have some to it. He's ahead in the count 1-2. Pitch to Masak. That one's off his shoe, and that is a hit by pitch to start the 2nd inning. Once again, Eagles have their leadoff man on. Second baseman Cole Vazana will bat with a runner on first base and nobody out here in the top of the 2nd. Vazana will take the first pitch from Waterman. That one's up and out. I think Waterman and Moore both thought that that Masak was going to try and take second. That would appear to be a pitch out. Waterman picks off. Masak in safely. One 0 from Waterman. Upstairs, ball 2. Coach McCarthy will now jog out on the mound, giving Vince Waterman a little chat. He's struggled with command slightly in this one. We haven't seen anything too particularly bad about it, but this is a typical Vince Waterman start, you know, struggling with command a bit, but then he shows flashes of pinpoint command. 2-0 to Vazana. That one's in there for strike 1, so whatever McCarthy just said to him clearly worked. I doubt Vazana was going to swing at that one anyway. Probably had the take sign on. He takes that one up and out. 3 balls and 1 strike. Waterman trying to avoid back-to-back free passes to start the second. He will on that pitch, bringing the count to a full 3 balls and 2 strikes. This is his 3rd batter that he's brought to a full count out of 8. He walked Jason Sullivan, was able to get Victor Zaragoza to hit a ground ball, and he'll get Cole Vazana to strike out, and that is going to be the first out of the top of the 2nd inning. Vazana probably chased ball 4. That one was up around his chest, but the Vikings will take it either way. Charlie Snorek, the center fielder, is the last batter in the Eagles lineup. He went 1 for 2 with a run and an RBI on Tuesday. He check swings at that one. Wasn't able to check it early enough. He fouled that one back. 0-1. If Waterman can get Snorek to hit a ground ball, middle infield can turn it. Takes off, throw from Moore is in time to cut down A.J. Masak. Josh Moore throws from his knees and cuts down a potential base stealer, and that is the 2nd out here in the top of the 2nd. And that's a big one because now all you need to do is get Snorek out, and you will face the top of the lineup with a clean inning in the top of the 3rd. Snorek hits a soft one. Rob Tate going back on it. Oh my goodness! Rob Tate! Leaping grab! And that ends the top of the 2nd. Oh my goodness, Rob Tate put on a show. After 1.5, the Vikings lead 2-1. Leading off here in this bottom of the second inning, it's going to be the catcher, Josh Moore.
Catcher number 6, Josh
Moore went 0 for 3 on Tuesday. Hopefully he can snap that skid right here. He takes first pitch outside from Bestrick. One to Moore. Late on that one. 1-1. Moore has 14 RBIs, primarily coming from the bottom of the order. Strike 2. Good pitch there from Bestrick on the low and outside corner. But Moore has been productive in the bottom of the Vikings lineup. He'll tap that one on the ground to Palumbo. Moore using his speed, but he will not be able to leg that one out. Nice play on the short hop there by third baseman Palumbo. And that is going to be the first out of this bottom of the second inning. Elijah Rainey will be the batter. First baseman did not play against Sandberg on Tuesday.
Elijah Rainey.
He was actually the batter that the game got suspended on yesterday against Lincoln Way West. He'll take ball 1 from Nick Bestrick on a curveball. So technically Elijah Rainey is up in 2 separate games right now. He has a 1-1 count on him in the other game, and now he has a 2-0 count on him in this one. That game was delayed and then suspended due to weather. Hopefully it'll be made up soon. Rainey sends one right back up the middle. Return to sender. And that one's going to get past this center fielder's Charlie Snorik. And Elijah Rainey is going to be stopped at second. A free base. And Elijah Rainey has given the Vikings a runner in scoring position to work with here in the bottom of the second. That's going to go single E8 for all of you keeping score at home.
Shortstop number 2, Robert Tate.
Rob Tate, the shortstop, will bat now, trying to extend the Vikings' lead. He went 1 for 3 on Tuesday. He was the Vikings' 2-hitter before Dylan Head came back. Isaiah White was the leadoff man, but since then, lineups have shifted around. But Rob Tate is one of the better hitters that you will see out of the 9 spot. He sends that one on the ground to Masak. Masak has to hustle, but he will nab Rob Tate at first base. Elijah Rainey did not advance, but it turns the lineup card over for Dylan Head, and they're going to give him, I believe they're going to give him 4.
Dylan Head.
It looks like they're going to give him first base, and we've seen it happen many times. We saw it happen on Tuesday with a runner on second base and a base open. And after his leadoff homer, I don't blame them, but it just shows that Bennett Reich is their preferred man, and Bennett Reich knows that. He's been the man that teams would rather face, but if he can make them pay for that, just make it all the more sweeter. He takes ball 1 upstairs. That curveball from Bestrick didn't have the spin he wanted it. Couldn't get it to break down. Bennett Reich trying to extend the Vikings' lead. Check swing did go. That was a strike anyway. That strike call was on the pitch. That evens a count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Reich grounded to the pitcher his last time up. He will ground to the pitcher again. Bennett Reich grounds out to end the bottom of the second inning, but after 2, the Vikings hold a 2-1 lead over the Sandburg Eagles. Vince Waterman back out on the mound here in this top of the third inning as the skies get gray. Hopefully the rain will not impact this one as it did yesterday. He'll face the Eagles' top of the lineup in Jason Sullivan. He walked him last time. He gets him to chase on a changeup below the zone, 0-1. The forecast did not call for any rain until around 7 p.m., so hopefully it will hold off till then, allowing us to get this game in. That one's in the dirt, ball 1. But then again, the forecast yesterday didn't call for rain at Lincoln Way West, and it rained all right. A lot. So you never can be too sure. Another swing and a miss on a changeup from Waterman, and he's ahead in the count 1-2 on Sullivan. One ball, 2 strikes to the leadoff man, Sullivan. And that one's hit right back up the middle. Vince Waterman able to get out of the way of that, thankfully. But it's going to be a leadoff single for Jason Sullivan. That one was hit very hard. Thankfully, Waterman was able to get out of the way of it. Can't have another injury on this already diminished Vikings pitching staff. Good news, however, David Anderson does not have to have Tommy John. We learned that earlier today. Just rest and a lot of recovery time, but he will be out for the year. That one's in the dirt, ball 1 to the first baseman, Highfill. But no Tommy John is always good. So he'll be throwing for his college team, Augustana College, once their season gets underway in about a year's time from now. There's first strike, to Ethan Highfill. Evens the count at a ball and a strike. Highfill popped to the third baseman, Isaiah White, his first time up. That pickoff attempt comes up empty. One from Waterman. That one's tipped foul. Josh Moore had to absorb all the force of that one, but he pops right back up. He's all right. He's a warrior back there. Count is now 1 ball and 2 strikes on the first baseman, Highfill. One, 2 from Waterman. That one's fouled off of Highfill. So the count is still 1-2 on Highfill. If he can get a ground ball, that would be appreciated right here. Or you could just strike him out. That one's in the dirt. That one kicks away from Moore, and Jason Sullivan's going to move up 90 feet. Takes the double play out of the question, but now Waterman can just focus on Highfill at the plate. Focus on getting his second strikeout of the day. Two balls, 2 strikes. Just barely outside. Full count. That was a good pitch there from Waterman. Better take from Highfill. Full count pitch. Highfill calls time. Will step out, forcing Waterman to think about what pitch and what location he's going to try and hit. Full count from Waterman. That one's tipped foul. So we'll do it again. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out here in the top of the third. Tying run is on second base in the form of Jason Sullivan. Fouled back yet again. Good battle here from Highfill. Three balls, 2 strikes. Pitch from Waterman. That one's in the dirt. That's ball 4. So it puts Highfill on first base. So now, if the Vikings want it, the double play is in order. But Colin Cassane is not exactly the batter you want to see. He was the one who won the game for the Eagles on Tuesday, thanks to his bases clearing 3 RBI triple. It gave the Eagles the lead that they would not relinquish. He takes ball 1 up and out. So now Waterman struggling to get this first out here in the 3rd. Eagles threatening to tie this one. Swing and a miss from Cassane on a ball in the dirt. That changeup has been working well for Waterman. Getting a lot of swings on it low in the zone or below the zone. He hasn't typically thrown that too much this year. That one's below the zone yet again. Another changeup from Waterman. So the count is now 2-1. Cassane popped to center field his first time up. That one's hit on the ground to Tate at short. He'll flip to Mulling, who throws to Rainey at first base. Safe at first. Cassane beat out the throw, but it'll go as a fielder's choice. Vikings get 1 at second base, and the double play is still in order for Victor Zaragoza. Zaragoza did hit a ground ball to the shortstop Rob Tate last time, but Tate was not able to come up with it. E6 was the official ruling. Waterman can get a similar outcome right here. Confident that Rob Tate will be able to make that play, as there's strike 1. That error by Tate extended the inning and eventually led to a run scoring for the Eagles, the first of the game. Oh, 0-1 is the count on Zaragoza. He'll call time. Jason Sullivan on third, Colin Cassane on first. 0-1 pitch. Hit into right center field, and that's going to tie the ball game. Cassane's going to be waved to third, and he'll be stopped there. An RBI single from Victor Zaragoza ties this ball game 2-2. Once again, leadoff base runners coming back to haunt the Vikings. They did a good job of limiting the damage on them on Tuesday. But 2 times Jason Sullivan has reached base. He's scored. He was the leadoff man in the first. He reached on a walk and then came around to score. The leadoff man in the third. He singled to center and came around to score just there. First pitch to Palumbo was low for ball 1. Palumbo singled to left, scoring Sullivan in the first. He grounds one. Rob Tate's only going to have one play, and it's to first. And Elijah Rainey's going to try and backpick Zaragoza at second. He will not. But the Eagles take a 3-2 lead thanks to an RBI ground out off the bat of Dom Palumbo. Nick Morcivillo lined to right to end the first in his first and only at bat so far in this one. He fouls that one down the third base line. Isaiah White cannot make the play. Tried to go over the fence with that one. Oh, 0-1 count on the DH Morcivillo. He sends one into right center field. Dylan Head and Jason Ballard converging, and Jason Ballard makes a nice play. He slides down over there in right center field to take a run away from the Eagles and keeping it at a 3-2 ball game. But leadoff base runners and runners following them give the Sandberg Eagles a 3-2 lead going into the bottom of the third. Jason Ballard will be the first hitter Nick Bestrick faces in the bottom of the third inning. Ballard walked in the first and then came around to score thanks to his legs. He was on second, and then a pickoff attempt that got away scored him.
Leading off the bottom of the third inning, regular number 5, Jason Ballard.
Ballard is also the Vikings' RBI leader with 15. He fouls that one back, 0-1. Excuse me, he's not the Vikings' RBI leader. He is second. Rob Tate holds that spot with 17. Ballard fouls that second pitch off the support beam for the net. 0-2. The pole is still ringing after that foul ball hit it. 0-2 pitch to Ballard. Curveball above the zone. Everybody thought that it was strike 3 except for the home plate umpire. And he is the only one that matters. So Ballard will continue his at-bat with a 1-2 count on him. He taps that foul. It hit him in the box. Ballard's home run lead is only 1 over Dylan Head, who hit his 4th to get the scoring started in the bottom of the first. You know, leadoff shot opposite field down the left field line. Ballard trying to get his lead back up to 2. He takes ball 2 upstairs. Good eye there from Ballard. He's already walked once in this game. And he's on his way to his second walk with a 3-2 count on him after battling back from 0-2. Ballard just trying to give the Vikings a leadoff base runner of their own. 3-2 pitch to Ballard. Inside, a great at-bat by Jason Ballard, and that is his 17th walk of the year, not of the game, his second walk of the game. It was his 17th walk of the game, and then it would likely be a different score than 3-2. You know, just based off of context clues and using basic baseball knowledge. But Preston Lund also walked in the first inning. He chases first pitch up around the letters for strike 1. He was trying to give the Vikings a 4-3 lead with that swing. That was a pretty hefty swing. He takes ball 1 upstairs over his head. 1-1. Breaking ball got inside on Lund, 2-1. If he hadn't ducked out of the way of that one, that probably would have just went off his head. So, thankfully, he got out of the way of that. Don't want to lose too many more brain cells. That's strike 2 on the outside corner. Good pitch there from Bestrick. Lund trying to avoid being the first out of the bottom of the third, and he takes ball 3 upstairs. So for the second batter in a row, the Vikings work a full count on Bestrick. Can it be their second walk in a row? 3-2 to Lund. Popped down the right field line. Foul and out of play. So count is still 3 balls and 2 strikes on the DH Lund. Preston just trying to give the Vikings a runner in scoring position. Just advance Ballard, potentially get himself on base, because Corey Mulling, who has the hot bat in the Vikings lineup, waits on deck. 3-2 to Lund. Ballard takes off. That's strike 3. That throw is... And that is batter interference, and Jason Ballard is thrown out at second base, not thanks to a throw from catcher Victor Zaragoza, but because Preston Lund stepped in front of him. So a walk to Ballard has been erased, and Lund goes down on strikes. So 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. Corey Mulling takes a curveball below the zone for ball 1. He lined sharply to right field, ending his 4-for-4 streak. He takes strike 1 on the outside corner. Bestrick has done a good job of locating that fastball in the outer third. 1-1 to Mulling. Up and in, 2-1. Two on pitch from Bestrick. In the left-handed batter's box, 3 balls and a strike. So for the third batter in a row, it's a 3-ball count. 3-1 to Mulling. That one's at his knees. Mulling thought it was ball 4. He'll come back and bat. And for the third batter in a row, it is a full count. Ballard worked a walk. Lund struck out. Mulling trying to avoid being the third out of this third inning. Full count pitch. That one's lined into right center field yet again. Corey Mulling continues to hit the ball hard, and that's all the Vikings can ask for. He is now 5 for his last 6, and if you count the triple he hit against Lincoln Way West before that game was suspended, he's 6 for his last 7, and he's hit for the cycle, actually. Isaiah White will be the batter. He has a runner on first base and 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. White fouls one down the right field line, out of play. White grounded to first to end the first. Ethan Highfield had to make a sliding play on his knees and then flip to Bestrick, who was covering. It was a fine defensive play. Oh, 1 to White. Curveball hit on the ground to Masak at short. He had some trouble coming up with it, but knocked it down and was able to hurry to second base to get Corey Mulling on a fielder's choice, and that is going to end the third inning. So after 3, it's 3-2 Sandberg. Top of the fourth inning here in this ball game. Vince Waterman still on the mound for the Vikings. He'll face the bottom three batters in the Sandburg Eagles lineup, as he did in the second. Masak was hit by a pitch and then was later caught stealing. He'll hit one on the ground softly to second base. Mullings is going to flip to Rainey at first base, and that is going to be the first out of the top of the fourth inning. Mulling flipped it a little too softly, made the play a little bit closer than it had to be. 0-1 is off the end of the bat, and that is going to be a fair ball. A little bloop single for Cole Vazana. That one, I believe, went off the end of the bat, and the end cap popped off. So that is a broken aluminum bat. You don't see that too often. About the worst hit that Vince Waterman has given up today. That one was hit with an exit velocity of maybe 45, but it was just enough to get over the head of Elijah Rainey. Charlie Snorek popped to short his last time up, and that one gets away from Josh Moore. That was a fastball up and in. That one glanced off the umpire. Hopefully he's okay. But last time Charlie Snorek came to bat, he was robbed of a hit by Rob Tate. Tate made a great leaping play to end the second inning and take a hit away from Snorek. But now with Vazana on second base, double play is no longer on the table for the Vikings. Snorek sends one out into center field. Head at the wall, no tag. Good throw from Head into the cutoff man, Rob Tate. Vazana wasn't even on the base to tag to third anyway. Even if he was, I doubt he would have tested Head's arm. But the most important thing about that little bloop single was that it ensured that the leadoff man, Jason Sullivan, was going to bat. He's responsible for 2 of the 3 Sandberg runs. He's scored 2 of them. And he takes strike 1 from Waterman. Sullivan has walked and singled on the day. His last at-bat in the third, he singled right back up the middle. Vince Waterman had to duck out of the way of it, thankfully. Big cut and a miss there from Sullivan on a changeup below the zone from Waterman. 0-2. Can Waterman punch out Sullivan? 0-2 pitch. Yes, he can. Jason Sullivan goes down looking, and that is how the fourth inning is going to start and end. Going into the bottom of the fourth, Vikings still trail by 1. Leading off at the bottom of the fourth will be the catcher Josh Moore. And as Sweet Caroline plays here at the Field of Dreams at Homewood-Flossmoor High School, Josh Moore will bat against Nick Bestrick. Moore grounded to third to lead off the second inning.
Josh Moore!
If Moore can get on, he can definitely wreak havoc on the base paths with his speed. Big cut and a miss there on a breaking ball. Moore squares bunt, pulls back, and that one was inside. Evens the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. This game is going fairly quickly, only an hour in, and we're already in the bottom of the 4th. Moore takes strike 2 on the outside corner. Once again, Bestrick has had great command over the outer third, keeping the ball away from the righty's barrels. 1-2 to Moore. Curveball in the dirt. Good take by Moore. Evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Wind beginning to pick up here once again. That one up over Josh Moore's head, bringing the count to, once again, 3 balls and 2 strikes. So 4 out of the last 5 hitters in the Vikings lineup have gone to a full count against Bestrick. Moore tips it right back into the glove of Victor Zaragoza. And that is how this 4th inning is going to get underway. Elijah Rainey singled to center, his first time up.
Elijah Rainey!
And then advanced to second on an error by the center fielder Charlie Snorek. He takes ball 1 too low. Rainey was then stranded on second base. That one's tipped right into Zaragoza, right off the leg. So you see home plate umpire going out to give him some time to walk it off. That one's just hit straight down and then bounced back right where Zaragoza didn't have any padding. So the count is 1-1 on the first baseman, Rainey. His single up the middle in the second was very hard hit. And there's another hard hit single down the line. He is going to be stopped. No, he's going to try for second, and he is going to be in there with a 1-out double. So Elijah Rainey drives one past the outstretched glove of Dom Palumbo, and he is on second for the second time today.
Number 2, Robert.
Rob Tate will bat, try and get Rainey in from second, try to tie this ball game up. He grounded to short his first time up. It's important that Tate at least gets on right here, because then you have nowhere to put Dylan Head, who waits on deck. There's ball 1 in the dirt to Tate. If Tate can work a walk, we could potentially see a bases loading intentional walk. Tate takes strike 1 on the outer third. And the Sandberg bullpen getting up and running. 1 ball, 1 strike to the shortstop, Tate. He sends one right back up the middle. That's going to be a base hit single. Elijah Rainey will be stopped at third. And Dylan Head will bat with runners on the corners and 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. Are they going to give him 4? Everybody's looking at the Sandberg dugout, waiting to see if their coach is going to give him the 4. They will not. At least I don't think so. Not yet. But there will be a mound meeting. So just discussing what they want to do with Head, or maybe giving the bullpen pitcher some time to warm up. Who knows? But it's a mound meeting. And as the wind picks up once again, is just a reminder that Dillon had homered to left to start off this game. It may have been assisted by the wind. It probably was, but you still have to hit it very hard to go opposite field and essentially almost exactly down the line. That ball was maybe fair by about 10, 15 feet. If he can do it again right here, it would give the Vikings a 2-run lead. And he was intentionally walked in the second inning. They're not going to give him a free pass to first this time, but I would be shocked if they give him anything to hit. But one mistake pitch can flip this game upside down. First pitch to head. Below the zone. Ball 1. One-0 pitch to head. Fouled off himself while he was in the box. 1-1. I'm surprised we haven't seen Rob Tate take off for second yet. Nobody's holding him on over there at first base. So he pretty much giving him second base. Because if he can take away that force out at second, you're almost guaranteeing a run. Head will take ball 2 in the dirt. You can see Rob Tate getting a big lead over there at first. Don't know why he hasn't taken off yet. He has 8 stolen bases on the year. 2-1 pitch to Head. That one's lined into center field, and that's going to tie the game. Dillon Head goes opposite field for the second time today, and it ties this ball game at 3. Bennett Reich will bat with runners on first and second, and 1 out here in the 4th. Reich is grounded softly to the pitcher twice. Reich squares bunt, fouls it off. If he had gotten that down the third baseline, Dom Palumbo was covering the steal of Rob Tate. He was off after he saw Reich square bunt. So now he'll move up a few steps. 0-1 to Reich. That one's tapped foul down the first base line. 0-2. Reich trying to give the Vikings a lead here in this ball game. That run on second base. Dillon Head on first base. 0-2 to Reich. Inside corner, strike 3. Reich goes down looking. It's the second out of the bottom of the 4th. Jason Ballard, who has walked twice, came around to score in the first inning. He now has 17 walks on the year, extending that lead in the Vikings clubhouse. Nobody else has double-digit walks yet, so he has pretty much doubled everybody else's walk total on the year. So he's coming for that single-season walk record all-time in Vikings history. He's 25% of the way there this at-bat. Ballard can split a gap. The Vikings will at least take a 1-run lead, and you never know, with the wheels of Dillon Head, could be a 2-run lead. 1-0 to Ballard. Spins. Bestrick does. Nobody is home. The Vikings dugout is getting loud. Getting in the head of Nick Bestrick. It's a high-pressure situation. Big cut and a miss there from Ballard. Was late on that. One ball, one strike. Ballard sends one out into left center field, and that ball is going to get off the wall. One run's going to score, and Dylan Head is going to be waved around third, and 2 runs are going to score. Jason Ballard has untied this ball game, and the Vikings have a 5-3 lead here in the bottom of the 4th. That ball was smoked, and Charlie Snorek could not make the play, just had to watch it carry over his head. And Jason Ballard with a 2 RBI double has given the Vikings the lead here in the bottom of the 4th. Preston Lund has walked and struck out on the day. Trying to score Ballard from second. It's ball 1 low and outside. .0 from Bestrick. Long hold. Ballard getting in his head. That one's sprayed down the right field line. 1 ball and 1 strike. That ball got away from catcher Zaragoza. Short hop the throw back to Bestrick. But since it was a foul ball, Jason Ballard could not advance even if he wanted to, because that ball was not live. One ball, 1 strike, 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th. Vikings have already taken the lead back from the Eagles. That one's tipped right back into the mitt of Zaragoza. 1-2. One-two to Lund. That one's hit in the air to left field, and that one is going to be down. A little bloop single extends the Vikings' lead. That ball just died very quickly, even with the wind assisting it, and it gives the Vikings a 6-3 lead here in the bottom of the 4th inning, and that looks like that's going to be all she wrote for Nick Bestrick. Second time he's going to be greeted with a mound visit, and that is it. So as he steps out, so will we. Only difference is we'll be back. The new pitcher in the ball game is Ethan Neekers. He will face Corey Mulling with Preston Lund on first base and 2 outs. A little 2-out rally here for the Vikings have given them a 3-run lead, and they're not done yet. As Corey Mulling takes ball 1 upstairs. Mulling has been hot recently. He's hit 2 hard line drives today. One was down for a single in his last at-bat. The other one was caught in right field. That one's on the outside corner. Strike 1. Bestrick doesn't have the velocity that, Niekers doesn't have the velocity that Bestrick does. Mulling fouls one behind home. 1 and 2. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. That one's upstairs, ball 2. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runner on first. That one's upstairs yet again, bringing the count to a full 3 and 2. So no matter the outcome, Preston Lund will have a head start. He's going to take off on the pitch. There he goes. Mulling fouls that one back. Mulling trying to extend this inning to Isaiah White, who waits on deck. Three-2 to Mulling. And that is a balk, and that one absolutely kills the Vikings, as that one would have at least scored Preston Lund. Oh, man. Corey Mulling smacked that one into the gap. Preston Lund is going to be on second base now, but that one would have been extra bases for Corey Mulling. He's smiling. He knows that he just got his 9th double taken away from him. He already has 8 on the year, leading the Vikings by a long shot. Nobody else has 4 or more. But let's see if he can do it again right here. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. He will not, and he is punched out. So Corey Mulling has a double taken away from him by the pitcher, Ethan Niekers. And that is how the 4th inning is going to come to a close. But the Vikings score 4, and they retake the lead 6-3 over the Sandberg Eagles. Vince Waterman back out on the mound for the top of the 5th inning. Lefty has already gone 4 innings, only allowed 2 earned runs. One of those runs was unearned. It came in the 1st inning off a Rob Tate error. Ethan Highfill, the 2-hole hitter in the Sandberg Eagles lineup, will bat. He walked in the 3rd for his last at-bat. He'll take strike 1 on a slider from Waterman. Waterman seems to be finding his groove late in the game in this one. That one's on the outside corner, strike 2. 2 quick strikes to the first baseman, Highfill. Waterman way ahead in the count. 0-2 pitch. In the dirt. Not a bad idea. 1 ball and 2 strikes now. 1-2. That's just barely low. 2-2. That one looked good from about everywhere else on the field. Fans wanted it. Players wanted it. Count is 2-2. That one's tipped just barely foul. Highfield staying alive. 2-2 on the first baseman, Ethan Highfill. Can Vince Waterman punch him out to start the fifth? He's going to get him to fly weakly into right field. Jason Ballard and Corey Mulling could not get there in time, and that is going to be the second bloop hit, just barely into right field. The wind probably blew that one back into fair territory. That one landed about 5 feet inside the foul line. Colin Cassane, the left fielder, is 0 for 2 on the day. Popped to center and grounded into a fielder's choice. He's going to take ball one upstairs. Sky is getting a bit grayer as we roll on in this one. It is past a full game, so if this game does get delayed, it will be official. Cassane sends one out into right center field. Ballard racing over, and he will not make the play. That one's going to come up off the wall. Highfill will be stopped at third, but it's back-to-back hits for the Sandberg Eagles to start off the fifth inning, and they've got 2 runners in scoring position with no outs here in the fifth. Good relay throw by Ballard and Mulling to keep Highfill at third. Doesn't exactly have the best speed over there, but still. Victor Zaragoza has reached base twice, one thanks to an error, and the other one was just on a single. Vikings have a 3-run lead, so Zaragoza does represent the tying run at the plate. Check swing. Held it. 1-0. That one looked to be pretty similar to the pitch that Corey Mulling got punched out on to end the top of to end the bottom of the fourth. But that one is in there for strike one. 1 ball, 1 strike to the catcher Zaragoza. Big swing and a miss. That changeup working very well for Waterman here in this one. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Pitch from Waterman. That one hits Zaragoza, and that is going to load the bases with nobody out here in the top of the fifth. Unfortunately for the Vikings, the go-ahead run is at the plate right now. The go-ahead grand slam would not exactly be the best thing in the world for the Vikings, and we're going to hope that it doesn't happen. Dom Palumbo has singled and grounded out on the day. He takes strike 1 from Waterman. That ground ball to short scored a run in the third. The 0-1 pitch is in the dirt. Good block by Josh Moore, keeping that one in front of him and keeping Highfill planted at third base. One ball, 1 strike on the third baseman, Palumbo. 1-1. Up and out, ball 2. Nowhere to put him, so Waterman has to go right at him. Two and 1 from Waterman. That one's hit into right field. That's going to score at least 1. Cassane is going to be waved home. The throw from Ballard is going to be to second. And the Sandburg Eagles have cut the deficit to 1. So now, pitching coach Vince Davis is going to be heading out of the dugout to talk to Vince Waterman. After that 2 RBI single off the bat of Palumbo. It's not often we see Coach McCarthy come out to the mound before Coach Davis, but we did see it earlier in this game. So now Vince Waterman will stay in the game, and he'll face the DH, Nick Marsavillo, excuse me.
Designated hitter number 7, Nick Marsavillo.
Marsavillo has lined to right both times. Jason Ballard took at least 2 bases away from him to end the third. That one's tapped foul. 0-1. Tying run 180 feet away. But the double play is also in order for the Vikings. That one's hit on the ground. Foul down the first base line. So Waterman very quickly ahead in the count, 0-2. No balls, 2 strikes on the DH Marsavillo. That one's fouled off himself. Keeping the count at 0-2. See if Waterman can get the first out here in this top of the 5th. That one's hit on the ground into right field. That's going to score 1. As Jason Ballard's throw was just short. The throw is to second. And the Sandberg Eagles are going to take the lead after the Vikings throw the ball around. Victor Zaragoza scored and Dom Palumbo scored. And that is going to be it for Vince Waterman. He'll exit with a 7-6 deficit after the Eagles score 4 of their own in the top of the 5th. So as he departs, we'll step out. Now on the mound for the Vikings, it's going to be the righty, number 8, Nico Bilgi.
Now pitching for
He'll face
Vikings,
the bottom 3
Nico
in the
Bilgi.
Eagles lineup. A.J. Masak will bat with a runner on second base. That runner is Nick Marsavillo. Masak was hit by a pitch in the second and then grounded to first. His last at bat, he takes ball 1 high and outside from Bilgi. So a 4-run top of the 5th for the Eagles has given them a 1-run lead. That one's hit high into the sky. That one's probably going to come back into play. And Josh Moore makes a fine play. He had to come back on that one as the wind sort of blew that one back in. I didn't think that it was going to come back in far enough to make the play, as fans behind the first baseline were scattering. I thought that it was just going to hit off the net. But Josh Moore able to make a fine play, and it's the first out of this top of the 5th inning. Cole Vazana has struck out and singled on the day. There's ball one upstairs. He was one of only 2 strikeout victims for Vince Waterman on the day. The other was Jason Sullivan. He's late on a fastball from Bilgi. 1-1. If Bilgi can get out of this inning, stranding Morcivillo at second, that would be huge for the Vikings, giving them only a 1-run deficit. 1-1. That one's below the zone. Ball 2. First base is open if the Vikings want to try and set up a double play. But they haven't turned one here in this game. 2-1 is tipped right back into Josh Moore's glove. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Can Bilgi punch out Vazana for the second out here in the 5th? That one's just barely upstairs. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Vazana isn't exactly the biggest guy, so the strike zone is smaller. Full count pitch from Bilgi. Strike 3, outside corner. Vazana thought it was ball 4. Started to toss his bat towards the dugout. Little did he know he was going to be accompanying the bat. Charlie Snorik, the center fielder and the last batter in the Sandberg Eagles lineup, will bat with a runner on second base and 2 outs. And he lines one into center field. Dylan Head is going to have no play but to come up with it and keeps the runner. I thought it was going to keep the runner from scoring, but it does not. Morcivillo scores from second on Charlie Snorik's single. That throw probably should have been cut off. But either way, it gives the Sandburg Eagles a 2-run lead. Jason Sullivan, the leadoff man, able to check his swing on that curveball from Bilgi. The Eagles have scored 5 here in the 5th. Curveball in there for strike 1. Jason Sullivan struck out looking his last at-bat. That ended the 4th. Can he end the 5th? Thanks to Nico Bilgi. 1-1. That one's hit softly. Isaiah White lays out, probably too early. Rob Tate's going to have no play, and they're going to try and get... They're going to not be able to get Charlie Snorik off third base. He rounded third base, and nobody was home to cover the throw. It's going to be an infield single for Jason Sullivan. That one was softly hit. So now runners will be on the corners with 2 outs for the first baseman, Ethan Highfill. Snorik's on third, Sullivan's on first. Highfill singled to right to start the 5th his last time up. So Sandburg Eagles have batted around in this one. There's strike 1 to Highfill. They've sent all 9 batters to the plate, and Highfill represents the 10th. 0-1 from Bilgi. That's in the dirt. It hits off the plate, and Moore will have no play. And the home plate gives the Sandburg Eagles their 9th run of the day. Nothing you can do about that one. Just a funny bounce. It hit right off the lip where the turf meets home and just skipped up and over Josh Moore. So Snorik was able to score from third. Sullivan moves up to second. That 1-1 is fouled back, 1-2. Vikings only 1 strike away from getting out of it. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Here's the pitch. Curveball in the dirt. Strike three. That was not in the dirt. That was in the zone. Highfield goes down looking, but the Eagles score 6 in the top of the 5th, and they regain the lead 9-6 over the Vikings. Starting the bottom of the 5th inning, it's going to be the third baseman, Isaiah White. He's grounded out twice, once to first and once to short.
Isaiah White.
The Vikings trying to follow up that 6-run top half of the 5th with some runs of their own, as White takes ball 1 on the outside corner from reliever Ethan Neekers. Neekers relieved Nick Bestrick, the starter. That one's outside, ball 1. And that one's in the dirt and outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. White is 0 for 2 on the day, so in my opinion he's due for something. That 2-1 pitch is maybe a bit off the plate, but it's still called for strike 2 anyway. And what do you know, folks? There is lightning. Base umpire called it. And so for the second game in a row, the Vikings are going to have to be delayed due to lightning. The field is still dry. And as I say that, I hear the thunder from the lightning strike that the base umpire saw. So please stay with us. Don't turn away. This game will be played and finished. It'll just have to be after a 30-minute lightning break. So stay tuned. Hopefully we'll be back at the end of the 30-minute lightning delay. All right, folks, some unfortunate news. While I said that this game was going to get played, it does not look like it's going to be played. So unfortunately, this game, like the game against Lincoln Way West yesterday, is going to have to be suspended and made up at a later date. So bottom of the fifth inning, Isaiah White is up with a 2-2 count on him, and the Sandburg Eagles lead the Vikings 9-6, and that is how we are going to leave things here tonight. An unfortunate and sort of abrupt finish to this one, but can't control the weather. We know all too well about that here in Chicago. So for everybody here at the HF baseball team, I'm Dylan Barnes. Have a great night, everybody.